And I think you can probably appreciate my camera woman in these conditions. Shoot! Oh my gosh! This is a big fish. Oh my gosh! That hit hard. An epic snapper hack for rock fishing. Hi, my name's Roger Osborne. In today's video, I'm down at the rocks fishing for snapper, and I'm going to teach you something which makes an amazing difference. It's a real secret that not that many fishermen know. And while I'm down here, as usual, I'm going to explain my tactics, my thoughts, everything that I'm doing, show you all my gear so that you guys can have just as much success and fun as me when you're fishing. Just quickly guys, before we get into the fishing, I am super pumped to show you our setup of the Blue Eddy Solar X 4K on our off-grid property. This is actually a really big thing for us because we've had no power in the big shed that we're building for quite a long time, but now we're actually going to have awesome solar power on our off-grid property. I'll also share with you a few things that we had to overcome, little hurdles along the way, which is, I guess, is pretty normal, and then we'll get straight into the snapper fishing. Stick around to the end for a free PDF download which will outline some vital keys from today's session. And if you're enjoying my content, you know that subscription is absolutely free. Some people don't know that, but it really helps me to get out here and produce great teaching content, which is what my heart is to do. So make sure that you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Our massive off-grid shed was buzzing with productivity last weekend. Building materials, wires, and people everywhere. Basically, we had a huge building blitz getting all sorts of things done. And if you've been watching any of my earlier videos about sustainable living, you'll know that for a while now, we've been planning and preparing for setting up our big shed with power, and that time has finally come. A few weeks ago, Blue Eddy sent us their brand new Solar X 4K unit to set up with the Apex 300 that we received earlier this year. It's already got us out of a tight spot a few months ago when floods hit the east coast of Australia. An epic storm knocked all the power out for a few days and caused havoc up and down the south coast. However, that was only using the Apex 300 to its bare minimum capability. But now we've hooked it up to the Solar X 4K plus 6 of our batteries to test it out on the other end of the scale. The Solar X 4K is essentially the world's first MPPT controller that can deliver up to 4,000 watts of solar charging. That's a solid amount of reliable power coming in. Now this is our system all set up. Over here we've got the Solar X 4K. This is plugged into the last battery in our chain of batteries, which is one of the B300K batteries. You can see we've got 3 B300K batteries all linked up together. These then go over to a stack of B300S batteries. You can see we've got one plugged in here, plugged in here. This one is not plugged in because we're just waiting for cables with that, but that'll be used when we plug in the next system, which is the AC500. And then at the top here, you have this battery plugged back over into the Apex 300, which basically manages the whole system. And if you press any button here, you'll be able to see what's happening. And it's incredible. We are getting at the moment about 2,000 watts per hour coming in, and it's telling me we're only using 131. How's that? What an awesome feeling that is, to be able to plug all sorts of appliances in totally off grid. Now, I do have to mention the main issues we encountered. The first roadblock was that, according to the app, we had successfully updated all the different firmware versions of our units. Later on, however, after contacting Blue Eddy, we were told there was another update we missed, which immediately fixed all the communication issues in the system. I reckon there's still definitely room for improvement with the Blue Eddy app, but we also need to get used to the way all of this stuff works. Honestly, we would have saved literally hours of time if we just checked that each unit was updated to the correct firmware. And trust me, don't skip this step if you want to keep all of your hair. The second thing is that when we went to first connect and add the Solar X 4K to our devices in the app, we found that the only way was to make sure it was not plugged into anything. This means it has to be a sunny day in order for it to turn on and be found by Bluetooth. Once you can access the Solar 4K, check it has the latest firmware as well. Firmware, firmware, firmware. That was the biggest issue that we encountered, and it was quite frustrating to start off with. Other people on YouTube were a great help with a bunch of other things that weren't in the manual, and I've linked a few of the videos we watched that really helped us set it all up. Back to some of the specs for all of you amazing geeks out there. So, the SolarX 4K is built to work with solar panels from 150 volts all the way up to 500. The 6 panels we have are N-type 440 watt that we bought off eBay a while back. Honestly though, you could pick up a bunch of panels from Facebook Marketplace cheap or maybe even for free. The really important thing though is to make sure that they are all the same. One of the features of the SolarX 4K is that it uses intelligent MPPT technology with isolation to safely step down voltage for your battery system. What this all means is faster charging, better battery life, and a reliable energy source for a small home, an off-grid property, or for backup when you need it most. Safety is a big part of this design. The SolarX 4K uses full isolation between the high voltage solar side and the low voltage battery side. That protects you from electric shock, and it also shields your batteries, circuits, and charging equipment from surges or grounding problems. So it's efficient, but also very safe to use. It's compatible with a bunch of units and also the larger AC500 that we have, but there is one important thing to note. The AC500 does require a specific ARM version, which you can check using your app. You can always reach out to their support if you aren't sure. There are so many more details about what you can do with this system, so make sure that you check out the website if you're interested. So there you go. How good is this? What a great system. And you can bet your bottom dollar that we're going to be testing this to its full capacity over the next few months. Okay guys, this is all fishing now. Now, I'm down on a rock shelf. It's kind of late afternoon. I've still got plenty of light, but I am fishing a rock shelf that is low to the water. It's a flat shelf, and I'm also fishing high tide, so I need to be really wary of the waves because the waves almost just well up over this shelf. And the only reason that I'm here now is because the sea is basically flat. But you'll be able to see, even though the sea's flat, you'll be able to see behind me. You can see waves washing up. You can see white water. So normally you could not fish a place like this at high tide. In fact, most of the time it would not be suitable, would not be possible. So I'm only here because I'm really aware of the conditions and it's low tide. And also I've spent a little bit of time just watching the waves, and I'm actually excited. It looks great. It's high tide right now and it's going to start dropping. So that's a slight positive because the water is not getting higher, it's getting shallower, but it looks great. I'm totally expecting to catch some snapper, and along the way I'm going to be teaching you guys some really cool stuff, especially if you're interested in having a fish for snapper off the rocks. So time to get my line in the water. So guys, as you know, I'm wearing a life jacket. I've got spikes on my feet, and when the water is so close to the rocks like this, I really need to pick my moment. There's a lovely flat shelf in front of me. I can walk down there and cast my line out, and I'm going to stand up here where it's pretty safe up here. So as I walk down here, I'm always looking to see if there are any holes or crevices in the rock that might cause me to trip. There's actually a lot of barnacles on the rock here, which I like because they give you grip. So I'm going to come down here now. I'm going to cast my line out, and then I'm actually fishing with 2 rods today. I'm going to put one in a rod holder. See, look, here's a little wave just came over. You can see how close the water is to this rock. It's almost level, like a swimming pool. So I'm always looking in front of me, always keeping my eyes open. I can see what's going on. I'll come down here, and now I'm going to give it a good belt. Now that's going to land right where I wanted it to. So that was a perfect cast. Now I'm walking away from the edge. I could stand there if I was just watching the waves, but I really just walked down there to get my line out there. And I think you can probably appreciate my camera woman in these conditions. Shoot! Oh my gosh! This is a big fish. Oh my gosh! That hit hard. Shoot! My bait only just landed in the water. I can't pull it in. I think this is a solid snapper. Whoa, look at my rod. Man, my bait hit the deck and it was literally only in there for a few seconds. Wow. Now this feels quite solid. My next thing is I've got to think about landing this fish and I've got to be aware, oh shoot, it got off. I can't believe that. What happened then? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. That was actually a big snapper. I have no doubt about that. Why have I lost it? Oh my gosh. That was at least several kilos, that snapper. Look, I've got a clean hook. That hit me rock hard, so hard. Oh man, that was a beautiful fish, I can tell. Woo! What a bummer. What a bummer. I'm gonna get another bait out there straight away. Oh, I could tell that was a ripper. I actually couldn't move it at first. It was just, I could feel that those head knocks. Feel it going like that. It was a cracker. Whew. I guess we've all experienced that, hey? It was exciting to get the bite, but oh my gosh. Oh, what a bummer. It must have only just been lipped. Oh, well, we'll see if there's a whole school out there. That was a big fish. Wow. All right, now I can see a wave coming, so I'm going to wait. I'm not going to cast my line out because I know this wave is going to just surge up onto where I'm going to cast. Not too bad, but, and look, here it comes, just here now, just going past our feet. So I'm going to wait for those couple of little lumps to go. Then I'm going to go and cast my line out. But you know, where I'm here is really safe. We're not really in any danger. So I've got a little gap in the waves. I'm making sure I'm watching where I'm walking. I've come down here. I'd barely actually clicked my reel over last time before I got smashed. So I'm actually going to hold on to it for a second because if I get another bite like that, oh. Oh, I hope I hook another big one. I've caught enough snapper to know what that was. I've caught hundreds and hundreds of them. But it was at least a few kilos. Oh man. Now I actually brought, hang on. I actually brought 2 rods with me because my plan was to toss one out and leave it set and hold the other one. I might not get to 2 rods, I don't know. But I think if I don't get a bite in the next minute or so, I might wind it in and check my bait because I felt a little bit of a bump from something then. Hang on, just getting a bite. This doesn't feel like a snapper. It's not banging its head. And it didn't bite like the snapper, it's something else. Yeah, this feels like some sort of, maybe even a Port Jackson shark or something. The challenge in these conditions is landing a fish. You've actually got to get the fish as high up in the water column as you can and use the momentum of the wave to bring it up over the rocks. And watch the waves at the same time. Now I can see another wave coming towards me, so I need to be aware of that. I think this is probably a Port Jackson shark. That's what I reckon. It's over the edge of the rock shelf at the moment, and I've got to try and get it up over the edge. Yeah, there it is. There it is, I can see it. Just got to watch where I'm walking. He's washed up onto the rock shelf up here, but I'm just going to make sure I've got good footing. I'm going to walk over here and I'll bring him up with this next wave probably, or maybe the next wave after that. It's exactly what I thought it was. It's quite a big Port Jackson shark. You can see the size of this thing, it's a beast. Look at that. I need a slightly bigger wave to bring him up. Do you know what? That snapper that I had on before, it felt just as heavy as this shark, but it was a definite snapper. Okay, see this wave here? I'm going to try and bring him up a little bit. Oh. Wait for another one. I can see my hook's in the corner of his mouth. There's quite a big wave coming, so I just make sure that I got my footing. Okay, so that's right, washed him right up. Now where I'm standing, it's really flat. There's no holes in the rocks here, so it's safe. Get a load of that box head. That's a big box head, that one. Very big. I'm going to try and pop this hook out. Oh, beautiful. I got that hook out really easily. Now I'm just going to gently lift him up. I don't want to hurt him. I'm going to bring this guy over. And see this little bit of water coming now? In you go, buddy. Whoa. Now, my equipment landed that shark without much difficulty at all. But that first snapper that I hooked fought a lot harder than that shark. It's hard to know how big it was, but I'm estimating it had to be at least 3 kilos, maybe bigger. Anyway, hopefully something happens and I get to catch one of them instead of a Port Jackson. Now I'm checking my line for fraying because I don't want to get a nice fish. It does feel just a little frayed, just a little. Now I've got 2 baits today. One of them is a half pilchard, which is a lovely aerodynamic bait with a single 5/0 hook and a half hitch around the tail. The other bait is completely different, and I'll explain that when I cast that out in a minute. I'm going to toss this one out and leave it in the rod holder. If it doubles over, what my plan is, if this is in the rod holder and it buckles over under a fish, I'll walk over with my other rod, put it in the rod holder, and then pick that one up and play the fish. So I just got to get this back out in the zone. Okay, see there's a little surge just here. So just watching that, walking forward. Okay, now that's a good cast. Yep, right in the spot. I think I'll hold on to it just momentarily, just in case. Just in case I do get a bite straight away. Whew. How big was that Port Jackson? That was a beast. I'm getting some nibbles. When I got that snapper bite, it was just smash. No, I missed it, so I'm going to pull my line in. You can see I'm winding super fast. I got to get it up off the bottom so that I'm not going to get caught on the reef. Really, you want to skip your sinker along the surface of the water, on top of the water, and then you can get it back in again, which I've done no problem. So now I'm going to I need to go and get a couple more pillies, so I'm going to whack this one in the rod holder and grab my other line. So I'll swap them over. Now, for my other bait, I just want to show you guys what I've got on my other line. I have the same basic rig setup, but I have got a tentacle of squid with a piece of foam attached to my line. That foam actually causes the bait to, it causes us to float up off the bottom, and it becomes a lot more visible because oftentimes out there your bait lands in amongst a whole lot of weed or kelp, but with a little bit of foam on there it causes your bait just to rise up like that and becomes much more visible to the fish. This is something that a guy taught me a number of years ago. He was an amazing snapper fisherman. He took me snapper fishing, and when I went with him that morning he caught a snapper that was 6.7 kilos using this system off the rocks, and it really works. So I'm going to whack this out, and then I'm going to go and get some more bait, and hopefully if a fish jumps on it I don't lose it. Beautiful. Right in the middle of the sand. I'm casting out over reef onto sand, and that landed right in the middle of the sand, which is perfect. Okay, so I've got my other one. I went and got a few more pilchards. I just cut a few more pieces and trim the tail off them. So now I'm going to whack this one out. Just watching the waves as always. I actually really like this place. It's a nice, flat, safe shelf. Always watching where I'm going when I walk back. Now I cast over the top of my other line on purpose because I wanted to go to the side, so I'm going to lift it up and over. Now I'm going to stand here. Just going to check my drag. Yep, I want to keep it fairly strong because if I hook a big fish, I want to give it a little bit of movement, but not too much. Oh, that was a bit of a... I got a fish and it feels like a snapper. Not as big as the first one, but it's obviously a reasonable eating fish. Oh, this is so exciting. Now I'm just going to once again be watching what's going on when I get near the edge. Got my other line to contend with. I might actually hop up on here. It's gone over to my left. It's going to try and bring it up in the water column a little bit. Get it up near the surface, away from the rock shelf at the edge. Risk getting a little bit wet, but I can see a big wave coming out the back, so I'd like to try and get him in before then. Here he is. Whoa, yep, beautiful. Now that is a beautiful snapper. Ooh, this one's about 40 centimetres. And I knew it was a snapper straight away, but obviously not as big. I know I rave on about it, but the adrenaline just gets going. So I've got this beautiful fish. Just hold him up for you, look at that. Absolutely beautiful fish. And at least this one's hooked reasonably well. but they're out there. So I'm just going to check my other line. It's been sitting out there for a minute, nothing much has happened. So we'll just see if I can get it in without getting snagged. Gonna wind it down and whoosh go. I want to get it up to the surface and skipping along the top, away from the reef. Which I have got it up high. I can see my bait skipping across the surface now, and I can just bring it up with a wave, gently. Do you know, I've still got my bait, it hasn't been touched. So I might just cast it in a slightly different spot to where I just had it, just watching the waves. I'm going to go a little bit to my left. Still going out in amongst the mixed reef, beautiful spot. You notice that my head is always down, watching where I'm walking. Now I'm going to put this guy back in the rod holder. Just check the drag a little bit. I'm going to put him back in here. Then I'm going to hold that other line again. Alrighty, let's do it. Now, as I'm sure you guys who are watching my videos know, I've got a wonderful camera person with me, but they are on the rocks with me. When they've got the camera, sometimes they have to walk backwards. So we've got to be careful about where we choose to film, because it's got to kind of be somewhere. You can't have too many holes and crevices. It's just very difficult to film. So anyway, thank you for all the work you do. Well, I'm just going to come down here. It's actually better for casting over there, because I'm about 5 metres in front of here over there, and that 5 metres could make a difference. So I'm going to come over here and cast and then walk back over. I've got to cast over this line. Yeah, I kind of landed on the reef then. I landed just short of the sand. So it does mean there's a possibility of being snagged, but I just have to handle that. When you land on the rocks or the reef like that, you've just got to let it stay where it lands and not try and pull it, because you'll just end up getting hooked on something. You just got to hope that a fish will come along and pick up your hook and your bait and take it off the rocks. Now, as I mentioned, I've landed on the reef. If I don't get a bite in a few minutes, I'm actually going to pull it in again and cast it out and aim to get just beyond the reef onto the edge of the sand. That's where I've been getting the bites. That's where I prefer to be. It's still worth letting it sit there for a minute. I just want to talk a little bit about the hack, which is having that piece of float on your line above the hook, because it does help raise your bait up. You need to make sure that you don't have too big a bait, that the weight of the bait, you can actually test it by putting it in a rock pool to see whether it actually floats up or not, or whether it stays suspended. I know some guys on the central coast of New South Wales who fish that way for mulloway off the beach. They use beach worms and different baits, and the thinking is that that float above the bait, which suspends it up off the bottom, minimises the amount of stingrays that you catch on the beach, which is a good thing. So I haven't employed that tactic yet myself, but I'm certainly going to do that. I'm going to start putting some little floats when I fish off the beach, just to get my baits off the bottom. And my friends certainly have some amazing success on the mulloway that way. It's pretty easy to do, so easy. It's not a difficult rig, but that piece of float makes a big difference. I actually have that float on my line above the hook. So my line goes through and out the other side. So you really don't lose any foam in the water, because it's actually just above the hook. It stays on the line. And so it's not really an issue for pollution or losing foam in the water, because it's on your line. It's like a lot of float fishing. Well, not going to catch any fish with no bait. Oops. I just thought I'd check it because it had landed on the reef, but I've got no bait. This is the one that has the pilchard on it. So I'm going to cast a little bit to the side of where I cast last time so that I can reach the sand. It's probably about a 70 metre cast, maybe 70, 80 metre cast to get out there. That's certainly quite doable. And I'm using mono, I'm not using braid. If I was using braid, I could cast further. But sometimes braid's a bit of an issue on the rocks. So I'm just opting for the mono. I'm not sure what I've got on here. I think it's another Port Jackson, but a smaller one. Doesn't feel like a snapper. I hope I'm wrong, but... No, it's a banjo ray actually. That banjo ray actually tells me I probably landed on the sand. I just got splashed by a wave before. It just hit the shelf in front of me and popped up. I wasn't in any danger, but everything got wet. I got wet, my microphone got killed the microphone. So I've had to go and get a new mic and put a new mic on. All right, I'm going to let this guy go. So I've only come down here for a relatively short time. Probably fishing, I wouldn't have been fishing for an hour yet. And I'll run out of light soon. Got time for a few more casts. But I'm not going to... I've often fished off the rocks at night when it's calm and it's flat and it's safe, but you know, I'm not going to stay out here when the vision starts to get poor. So I'll knock off while I've still got a little bit of light. The rigs that I'm using in this session are pretty much the same apart from the float that I've got on the one that has the squid. They are essentially a running paternoster rig. So I have a length of line about 60 centimetres long with a swivel at each end. And on that line I have a 4-ounce snapper sinker. So that's what you call your dropper. Then my main line passes through the top of the swivel at the end of that dropper and attaches to my short leader, which is only about 15 centimetres long. So you've got a really short paternoster dropper of only about 15 centimetres, but it's a running one. It's not fixed to the sinker. It actually pulls through the swivel on top. It's also a good rig to use off the beach when fishing for mulloway if you're using a star sinker. That way you don't have a fixed sinker, but you can still have a sinker on the bottom. So both of these are the same except for the float on the one to my left. So I've probably got about another 15 minutes of light to fish. I just noticed that the snapper bites that I've had have been in the same spot. I've tried casting my rods in a couple of different directions, but both of the snapper bites have been in the same spot. So I've actually tossed that squid out in that general zone, but I'm going to wind this one in, check it and chuck it out again. I reckon it's probably still on there. Yeah, it's on there. Oh, get out of there. I got a bite while I was getting bait. Am I on the bottom? Just do up my drag a bit. I just had to run over here. catch my breath. But it feels like a Port Jackson. So this is on the squid. Comes a little wave. Can't get close to the edge with this, I've just got to wash it up with a wave. Oh, where are you, buddy? Can't quite see it yet. Just as well I got heavy line. Okay, next wave. Oh, it's actually not a Port Jackson. I'm gonna wash it up with this wave, maybe the next wave. Oh no. It's just a huge banjo ray. This is just a huge banjo ray. Much bigger than the one I caught earlier. Once again, I must be landing on the sand. I think what I might do is, I'm not going to toss this line back out again, I'm just going to hold the one, because I've only got a little bit of time left. Come on. That was a snapper bite then. Yep. Such a difference when you hook a snapper to what we fishermen call rubbish fish, really. So this is a snapper, not as big as the first one I hooked, but I can tell it'll be a quality eating fish. Just got to watch these waves to get him up near the surface. Hopefully he's well hooked. I can feel those head knocks, consistent head knocks of the snapper. Watching the waves, where is he? Actually, my drag's moving a little bit there. I think he's bigger than the snapper that I've caught already. Just got to watch these waves. Come on, Mr. Fish. Oh, here comes another bit of a wave. Just got to watch it. Can't see the fish yet. Where is he? Where is that? There he is. Here he comes. Up with this wave. Yep, got him up here. Oh, cracking fish. Cracking fish. Oh, what a ripper. What a cracker. Can't get my hand around him, he's too fat. What a cracker. Woohoo! Look at that fella. What a ripper. Not an absolute monster, but a stunning fish. An absolute quality fish. Just going to grab him. He has swallowed that bait. Just going to try and get a hold of him so I can hold him up for you guys. Now, how's that for an amazing fish, an amazing Aussie fish? An absolute beautiful fish. If you'd like a free PDF download of some vital keys from today's session, hit the link in the corner or in the description below. Look at that stunning fish. I've had so much fun making this video. I trust that you guys have learned a few things you've seen in a very short session. I've caught two beautiful snapper. The second one, I haven't measured it, but it would be probably a bit over 50, maybe 55, which is a quality fish. And the first one that I hooked tonight was way bigger than either of the snapper that I actually got in. And that one, the hook just pulled out. So you can see that what I'm teaching you in this video, well, you can see the results. It absolutely works. And do you know that where I'm fishing is not a special spot? There are hundreds of places all up and down the coast just like this. You know what, it wouldn't matter where I lived, I would be checking out the places in my local location that ticked all the boxes for snapper, and then when the conditions were right, I would be fishing there. Anyways, see you guys really soon.